Some things don't explode right away. They build up, quietly, slowly, like waves pulling back before a storm hits. That's exactly how it was with Martell Holt. For years, he stayed silent. Through the whispers, the rumors, the public shame, he never spoke out, never defended himself, not even against Arionne Curry. People thought he didn't care, or maybe he had nothing left to say. But the truth is, he was holding everything in, until now. This time, he finally snapped. And when he did, it wasn't just anger. It was years of regret, frustration, and pain pouring out all at once. Arionne never saw it coming. The man who once protected her, stayed quiet for her, suddenly became the one to unleash everything she had tried to bury. This wasn't just an argument. It was the final chapter in a story that had been burning in silence for far too long. To understand how things reached this point, we have to go back. Martell Holt wasn't always the man caught in controversy. At one time, he was seen as a successful entrepreneur, a reality TV star, and a devoted family man. But behind that public image, something else was going on. That's when Arionne Curry entered the picture, not as just a name in the headlines, but as someone who played a deep and complicated role in Martell's life. Their connection wasn't just a secret. It was a slow-burning storm, hidden behind smiles, cameras, and public statements. Over time, what started as a private situation turned into a public scandal. Martell's marriage began to fall apart, and Arionne's name started to come up more and more. Social media lit up with accusations, screenshots, and interviews. But even as the world watched the chaos unfold, Martell stayed mostly quiet. He gave vague answers, avoided direct attacks, and tried to manage the damage behind the scenes. Arionne, on the other hand, wasn't silent. She spoke out, sometimes subtly, sometimes boldly, claiming her place in a story the world was trying to erase her from. This tension kept growing year after year. And though it looked like both of them had moved on, the truth is, nothing had ever really been resolved. The tension between Martell and Arionne didn't come out of nowhere. It had been building for a long time. At first, things seemed under control. Martell was trying to balance everything: his career, his public image, his responsibilities as a father, and whatever was left of his reputation. He stayed quiet, even when Arionne began dropping hints online. A subtle caption here, a cryptic post there. She started doing more live videos, more interviews, and slowly but surely, she stopped being silent about their past. Every time she spoke, it chipped away at the version of the story Martell was trying to protect. She said things he never expected her to say in public. She called him out, claimed she had been lied to, and insisted that she had given years of her life only to be left with nothing. And while she was putting it all out there, Martell stayed calm, or at least pretended to. People assumed he didn't care, but in reality, it was all stacking up inside him. The guilt, the shame, the pressure, and most of all, the feeling of being trapped by mistakes he couldn't undo. And even though he didn't say much, those closest to him could see it. He was reaching his limit. The calm face he showed the world was hiding a storm that was just waiting for the right moment to break loose. The problems between Martell and Arionne didn't explode overnight. They were slowly building, like pressure in a bottle. In the beginning, Martell thought he could control the situation. He believed if he stayed silent, if he avoided drama, everything would eventually calm down. But that silence became its own problem. Arionne had stayed quiet for years while he lived a double life, one with his family in public and another with her in private. And now that everything had come out, she refused to be invisible anymore. At first, she shared little things, cryptic Instagram stories, short captions that hinted at deeper truths. But it didn't stop there. She began going live on social media, answering questions people were too afraid to ask. She spoke about how long she had been involved with Martell, how many promises he made, and how badly he had broken them. She painted a picture of herself not as a villain, but as someone who had been missold and used. Every time she went live, more people tuned in. Every time she spoke, more people listened. And Martell? He said nothing. From the outside, people thought he had moved on, that maybe he didn't care. But the truth was far more complicated. Martell was under pressure from all sides. His ex-wife didn't trust him. His co-parenting situation was delicate. His business reputation had taken a hit. And now Arionne, the one person who once swore to protect him, was the one throwing fuel on the fire. He felt trapped. No matter what he did, someone was hurt. And no matter how hard he tried to stay calm, friends started noticing the shift. He became more distant, more short-tempered. He stopped explaining himself. Every time Arionne went live or dropped a new comment, he saw it, even if he pretended not to. He was angry, not just at her, but at himself. Angry for letting things get this far. Angry for trying to protect someone who no longer cared about protecting him. And yet, he still didn't speak. He kept it all in, thinking silence was the mature thing to do. It finally happened on a quiet evening, no cameras, no interviews, no audience, just the two of them. Martell had stayed silent long enough, but something about Arionne's latest live video pushed him over the edge. She had gone too far this time. She didn't just speak about the past. She spoke about him, his kids, and even his ex-wife. She brought up private conversations, twisted moments they had shared, and made it sound like she was the only one who had ever been honest. For Martell, that was it. He couldn't take it anymore. He called her, not to fight, not to explain, just to say everything he had been holding in for years. But the moment she picked up, the emotion in his voice gave him away. It wasn't just anger, it was pain. Years of guilt, years of public embarrassment, and years of trying to protect someone who was now turning against him. "Why are you doing this?" he asked, his voice low but shaking. "You said you loved me. You said you'd never put me out there like this. And now you're going online every week, dragging me like I was nothing to you." Arionne didn't back down. "You want to talk about loyalty now?" she snapped. "Where was your loyalty when I was hiding in the background while you played perfect family man on TV? You used me. You promised me everything, then threw me away the moment it got hard." Her voice was sharp, but underneath it was years of her own pain. That's when Martell lost control. His calm broke. "You knew what this was," he shouted. "You knew I had a family, you knew the position I was in, and you stayed anyway. Don't act like you were innocent. You weren't a victim, you were part of it. And now you're trying to rewrite history because you didn't get what you wanted." The room went silent for a moment, just heavy breathing on both sides of the call. Neither one of them was completely right, but both were deeply hurt. Martell continued, his voice softer now, but bitter. "I should have walked away a long time ago." After that call ended, everything went quiet. But it wasn't the peaceful kind of quiet. It was the kind that comes after something breaks and you don't know how to fix it. For the first time in a long time, Arionne didn't post anything. No live videos, no captions, no stories. She didn't go online to defend herself or to clap back at Martell's words. She just disappeared. People noticed right away. Her usual followers kept refreshing her page, waiting for her to say something, but all they saw was silence. And that silence said more than any post ever could. Martell, on the other hand, didn't say anything publicly either, but the people around him could tell something had changed. He looked tired, not physically, but emotionally drained. For years, he had been juggling the pressure of keeping his personal life together while his public life was falling apart. And now, it was like the weight had finally landed all at once. He didn't look angry anymore. He just looked done. He stopped checking social media. He stopped trying to manage anything. Whatever image he had been trying to protect, it didn't matter to him anymore. But of course, the internet never stays silent for long. Word got out that something had happened. Some people claimed to have heard parts of the phone call. Others claimed they saw screenshots. Fans started choosing sides again, Some said Martell had every right to finally stand up for himself. Others said it was too little, too late. Meanwhile, his ex-wife made a vague post about protecting your peace, and blogs immediately tied it to the situation. The drama wasn't just between Martell and Arionne anymore. It had spilled over into everyone's timeline. And in the middle of all this noise, both of them were just quiet. No apologies, no statements, no more games. It felt like the end of something. Not just a messy relationship, but a cycle that had gone on for way too long. For the first time, Martell wasn't trying to fix it, and Arionne wasn't trying to fight it. Maybe they both knew, deep down, that whatever they had wasn't just broken, it was finished. Some stories don't end with a dramatic final scene. Sometimes they end with silence and the quiet realization that things can't go back to how they were. For Martell and Arionne, this wasn't just a breakup or a fight between two people who lost control. It was the closing of a chapter that had gone on for far too long, built on confusion, secrecy, guilt, and hope that things might someday make sense.